Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Kirsten here, and you are tuning into A Better Way with Kirsten podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you. On this podcast, we're talking about recovering from chronic sensations, chronic pain that is rooted in your emotions and in your stress and in your mental health. And there's nothing physically wrong with you. Okay, so talked about it several times on this podcast already, but how do you know that your pain or other sensations are coming from your brain and nervous system and that they're not physical? Well, some of the things are that you have been checked out by several healthcare professionals and nobody can find exactly what it is, what's causing it. The other thing could be that you've seen several practitioners and everybody's giving you a different opinion, or they give you different treatment plans, different ways of healing this thing, but nothing helps, right? So I tried all the physical things. And if you listen to the last podcast episode where I talked about my friend Kat's recovery, then you hear exactly this. She tried so many things. She even got surgery and it didn't get better. So if this is you've tried a lot of things and there doesn't seem to be one clear physical cause, then there's a good chance that your problems are coming from your hyperactive and scared brain and nervous system as well. Today, we're going to talk more about emotions and how it could be the case that you are not even aware that you're suppressing your emotions, and therefore you're having these sensations and symptoms. Because unexpressed emotions are one of the things that can really cause you these physical sensations. They're really very, very real, right? You feel them, and a lot of times they can be worse than actual typical like physical injuries or something like that. So these mental and emotional causes can be so strong that the sensation you got is just really, really, really bad. So we're going to talk about emotions more. And before I even get to today's topic, I want to make sure that you know that my course, Emotionally Fit, is available now. It came out this Monday, July 22nd, and it deals with emotions and showing you how to express and work with your emotions so that you fully process them. Because a lot of times the sensations that you feel in your body are just unexpressed emotions. And I created this program because this was one of the biggest things for me. And when I started working with my emotions and started doing it regularly, I started finding that my sensations went down. And then I had a couple of days in a row when I didn't have pain. And then I had a week when I didn't have pain. And of course, every now and then it happens again because it takes time for the brain to completely shift and get used to this new way of being. Oh, we're expressing emotions, we're letting it out, right? So it can take some time. But I personally saw the biggest shift from that. I was already doing a lot of things right. I was, doing normal life things. I was working out. I didn't stop anything because of the pain. I just did the things that didn't seem like healthcare professionals anymore. But I had not looked into emotions yet. And that was a thing that for me really got things moving in the right direction. So I really want to encourage you to check out this program. You can obviously find the links in the show notes. And if you sign up for Sunday, the 28th, you're going to get 2 bonuses as well. Bonus number 1 is that you're going to get $50 off the price of the course. And bonus number 2 is that you're going to get a 50-minute strategy call with me personally that we're going to sit down and talk about your situation, go over your history a little bit, what the symptoms are, what might be the emotions that you are pushing down, and how high is your stress. So we're going to address these things so that you can get one-on-one help from me. But in order to get these 2 bonuses, you have to sign up before Sunday, the 28th of July. Okay, so moving on to today's topic, and today's topic is this. You might be suppressing your emotions without even being aware of it. And I know that some of you might be saying, no, I do feel my emotions. I do express them. And I always have. So if you're saying that emotions are so important, so critical in chronic sensation recovery, why am I not feeling better already? I am doing all the things that you're talking about, right? But are you really? And I want to show you that you may not be actually going into your emotions as much as you should, or maybe you're not feeling them, or you're not processing them, but you just aren't aware. I was not aware that I was doing this. I just didn't know. Nobody had ever taught me emotional processing, and I guess it didn't come naturally. So for me, it was like a new language. I totally had to learn this. So I'm going to give you now some experiences or some examples from real life that could happen. And you can think, what would I do in this situation? What would I feel? And would I express this thing? So let's say that your husband hasn't taken out the trash that you asked him to take out. So now you feel like you're getting angry. Like, why is this trash still here? Why is it still here? Okay, I'm gonna take it out myself. So instead of saying anything, you just take it out yourself and you stay angry the whole evening, right? You're just angry inside, like, why did he not do this? I asked him to do this. Why is it like that? I have to do all the things, right? So you're angry, but you're not saying anything. So when he asks you what's wrong, you say nothing, right? It's like passive aggressive, nothing. And then the other person has to like keep guessing, what did I do? What happened? Right? Or if they don't ask that, you're like, they don't even care that I feel this way. Right. So you didn't mention that anger. You didn't express it. You didn't bring the problem up, and you just bottled it in. It was just, you bottled it up. It's still in you and you are internally angry. So you can think now, of course, maybe this wasn't like exactly an example from your life, but maybe something similar happens all the time that makes you a little bit angry, but you never mention it. You're just like, oh, let's like bypass this thing. Not a big deal. I'll do this. Right. And at the same time, you never processed your anger. Okay. Another example could be something like this. Let's say that there's a family member that loses his temper, raises his voice, and is really mean to you, right? Saying some nasty things, right? So you cannot handle this, so you just leave the situation without saying anything because you're scared, right? What do you have? You have fear coming up, isn't it? You get a little bit of anxiety coming up, but you don't say anything. You just go away and you never bring this up later either. And you just let things to settle down, air quotes, on their own. In reality, nothing got resolved, and you're still carrying this fear and anxiety with you. And your body will feel it. And, because nothing got resolved, the same situation might happen again and again and again, or something similar, right? So somebody really hurts you, you don't mention it, you don't bring it up. Instead, you just like, you get terrified, you can't stand up for yourself, and you never bring it up later either. So now when you do this over and over again, then you may start getting stomach aches. Like, oh my God, what's up with my digestion? But this is just your body telling you that you have never released these emotions that you have been feeling. Now, another example could be something like this. Let's say that you are actually getting angry at one of your family members or your husband or your kids or somebody else you love, right? And you feel like, yes, this really annoys me, this really bothers me, but you quickly go into like, nope, I can't, I should not, because I love them and they are my family member. I would give everything for them. So you start feeling guilty for having this emotion of anger. And you're like, I should not be feeling guilty. This is bad. I am so bad. And let me instead go into gratitude right away. No, I'm so grateful that I have this or that, right? But if you are not letting this anger out, the same thing might happen. After a little while, you may start getting some sort of symptom or sensation. And I want to say that you're not a bad person for being angry at somebody who is close to you. You can still love a person and be grateful for that person and get mad at them. Or you can get mad at them and still love them, right? So it's not like if you're one, then you can't do the other one. Everybody gets angry sometimes. And those people who don't need to learn emotional regulation, they know it. Excuse me, they know it, that it's absolutely fine that I get angry for a little bit, then I'm gonna let it out in a healthy way, right? You don't have to yell at everybody or anybody. You're not gonna punch people, but you will express it in some way, right? If you're angry, maybe you bring it up with a person. That would be, of course, ideal. Or maybe you write about it, or you say it out loud to yourself. I'm like so angry right now. You have to have a way to release this, right? You can't jump right into gratitude. Oh, it's actually all good. I'm so grateful that I have like all these things, because then you didn't do anything with this anger. Another example would be, let's say there's a breakup, right? And obviously you should feel kind of sad. You probably feel kind of sad about it, but you force yourself to forget about it quickly and move on right away, right? After all, everybody says like, get over this. Wasn't a good person anyway. Get over this. Move on with your life. And that way you may feel like, okay, there's no room for sadness, and I don't want to look sad. I don't want to look weak. I don't want to look desperate. So I'm just going to push it down. I'm not sad. I'm super tough. I get shit done, right? and then you never process your sadness. And at the same time, this would definitely be a time and place for maybe you need to cry, right? It is heartbreaking, right? So why not? Maybe you need to do this. So covering up sadness can come out in so many ways too later. If you didn't do it emotionally, maybe now your back starts aching, or you start having burning sensations all over your body, something like this, right? I want to give you a couple more examples so you can think, what would you do in these situations? So let's say that you make a mistake, right? Which for a lot of people with TMS, because we tend to be people pleasers, is a horror story. Like, oh my God, I made a mistake and maybe somebody else suffered. And now everybody thinks that I'm a terrible person. I'm not worth of anything. It's just like, it's a horrible thing. A lot of people are absolutely terrified. So let's say that you are writing an email to somebody and you want to make sure that everything about it is perfect so you don't make a single mistake. So now to write this email, you spend hours doing it. You're double checking everything. You're asking other people's opinions, and you're writing and you're rewriting it again and again and again. And you may think that it's a good thing, but in reality, you're very anxious, right? This is the emotion. You're super anxious, and you're also filled with shame because you feel absolutely terrified of, how would it be if I made a mistake? Oh my God, that would make me like such a like a not bad, but like unworthy person, right? So that shame in you, which is also the one of the biggest emotions, is pushing you to be perfect. And this is so exhausting on the nervous system, and it starts causing you pain. If you always feel like you shame, so therefore everything you do has to be perfect. You think that you're not allowed to make mistakes. You think that you have to ask everybody, because if you don't ask everybody, you might make a mistake or somebody might not like what you're doing. So if you do things like that, that is like a loud and clear message that you have a lot of shame in you and you have to work with it. And shame is such a big topic in my course too. I have a whole module dedicated to it because I am pretty sure that if you have TMS, you have shame in you. Most people have shame in them, just not everybody has so impacted by it. But if shame is just literally bossing you around and making decisions for you, and the decisions are like based on like how not good enough you are, or how you're not perfect, or how you should always be better. Like if the shame is sending you these messages, then you are probably having pain, probably having pain. Okay. And I want to give you one more example. So whenever there's conflict, what do you do? So there's a good chance that you try to run away from it, avoid it as much as possible, right? And there's a conflict with somebody and you end up with like lots of fear and anxiety because you aren't able to face the situation. You cannot stand up for yourself in this situation. You may feel like your voice doesn't matter, your opinions don't matter. And that again means that there's a lot of shame on you. Shame is running the show here if you are thinking this way. Instead, if there's a conflict, I want you to become a person who's able to stand up for yourself and speak your mind. You don't have to be rude, you don't have to be mean, but you have to be able to be strong and speak your mind. And this has been like super hard for me too. Um, you know, not necessarily recently, but I do have some things in my family where this comes up, and my go-to has always been like run away, just avoid the situation, don't go there, and you know don't stand up for yourself, because I used to always feel so weak about myself, like no, I can't do this, or this is too scary. If anybody raised their voice, I'm like, oh my God, I have to get out. These things can be very, very scary, but these are the situations where we have to be able to stand up for ourselves, because if we don't do, again, we are being pushed down, and we don't feel actually that we're worthy of better treatment. So these are such common things that happen to people who develop these chronic sensations, pushing down these emotions, such as, anger or fear or sadness or shame, right? Like pushing these down, or feeling a lot of shame and pushing the other ones down. This is so common. And the reason why we start developing these sensations, in my opinion, is really like we have to be able to express everything, right? And it doesn't mean like ugly expression of things. It doesn't have to be like, being abusive or violent or any of that, but it is our right, and it's almost our responsibility to express what we feel. And that also brings so much healing physically because your body is going to start feeling better. And of course, when I say physically, it doesn't mean that if you have TMS, there's something broken about your body, but the sensations are very physical. And a lot of times they're just pushed down emotions. So, do you see, based on these examples, how you may not be even aware that you're carrying these emotions in you? And probably you aren't aware. You might be thinking that, no, I'm fine, I feel sad sometimes. But do you let yourself have the expression of it? Do you let yourself cry about it? Or do you say, no, 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 I'm not going to cry. I'm going to push it down and put on this mask that, oh, I'm so tough, right? Or if you're angry, I think anger is one thing that a lot of people hold back so much because it's, socially not acceptable to do what you would maybe want to do. I don't know. There's different things that we want to punch somebody like I just talked about, but you have to have an expression. It's not enough that you just internally like you feel a little bit and then you just deny it. This is not how you start to feel better, and this is also not how you heal your chronic sensations. Absolutely not. So when you know how to recognize, feel, and express your emotions in a healthy way, I want to emphasize that, in a healthy way, you will get so much relief from these heavy emotions, first of all, and secondly, also from these sensations that come with them. Because a lot of times these uncomfortable feelings in the body are your emotions. I really want you to understand this. What you feel like, it's your backache or neck ache or digestive problem or migraine or, oh, so many things, tennis elbow or, ankle pain or whatever the things are, they can be your emotions, right? And there's no clear correlation between like, okay, like I'm suppressing my, mm, I get digestive issues if I suppress my anger, or I get backache when I suppress my fear or something like that. There's no like necessarily clear correlations like that. And also doesn't matter where the symptom or sensation comes up because it can literally happen anywhere in the body. The brain is capable of creating sensations anywhere in the body, right? And it doesn't matter, like you don't have to like necessarily think like, am I gonna get like a stomach ache from this? Like, don't start scaring yourself that way, but just start thinking, am I expressing my emotions? Am I doing this? Am I being like honest and authentic and expressing? And I think that if you start expressing your emotions more, also not only are you going to feel like better internally and your symptoms and sensations start going away, what's also going to happen is that you're going to be enjoying better relationships because you become a more authentic person. You speak your mind, you express your emotions, just become like closer with people, your relationships get deeper. So this is definitely one of the really nice benefits as well. But of course, I know you're mostly here because you want to heal from these chronic sensations that you're having in the body. So this emotional awareness is massive piece. Okay, so I want to remind you one more time that my course Emotionally Fit is available now. It will be available for as long as I do this show and these programs. But if you want to get the discount, which is $50 off, and if you want to get that one-on-one call with me, you should sign up before Sunday the 28th. The link to this program is in the show notes, so go ahead and check it out. All right, thank you so much for being here today with me. I'll talk to you again very soon. Take care.